And we are live. This is Travis Witherspoon from Carter Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the Forex market. This is another morning session of Trade with Travis. Hopefully, everybody's doing very well. Last night, we ended up taking some trades on XVX, US 30, and DAX. Literally, and I'm going to show myself on the screen in a second. Literally, I want to say about an hour ago, I seen that it was about 200 points between all three of the pairs. And I'm walking downstairs, kissing my baby, or about to walk downstairs, kissing my baby, and I have alerts on my computer, and I hear a beep, and I was like, "That's nothing good." I was like, "There's nothing good to that beep," and walked downstairs to be able to see that literally some of those moves have ended up being erased just a little bit, not all of it, but some of the moves have ended up being erased when it came down to that. I hate when it happens, but obviously we'll go through and take a look at everything else. Hope everybody's doing very well. Let's go ahead and get through the disclaimer. Then after that, we go ahead and get into some of the pairs and see what's actually happening the market and seeing if we can be able to adjust or if we need to go ahead and take profit. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from that education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you can end up making money today. So if you're new here, once again, I'm glad to be able to have you here. My name is Travis. What we end up doing for about 30 to 45 minutes, if you can give it take a look at some overall trading opportunities based off of pairs and looking at some of your overall ideas to be able to see if there's any type of trading opportunity. So the one thing that I always say is this: if you come inside of this room, one, you're going to end up being very much welcome to be able to communicate and say anything that you want when it comes down to questions or anything else like that. If you're just trying to get education, that's great. If you're trying to be able to learn, that's great. If you're trying to be able to make money. We're all trying to do that. So let's be able to work together and be able to get that done. So let's take a look at the economic calendar real quick. Let's see what's going on. I would like to be able to know why the market ended up shooting up 200 points in 30 minutes. And then after that started to fall and matriculate back down. I would really like to know that answer. But we'll end up seeing what's going on with the overall market. So today, what we have is President Lagarde. He ended up speaking at 3:15 already. Later on today, we're going to end up having Jerome Powell speak at 10:15. Um, the market has been falling. Obviously, we're back at 2020 lows when it comes down to the market in general. So I'll kind of like to be able to see how the market's going to react to that. But overall, from a trading aspect today, it's going to end up being a trader's day, meaning that the chart is going to be more important than the actual news. But anytime that this guy speaks, Chair Powell or Jerome Powell, then the market moves. So just keep that in mind as we go through and take a look at some overall opportunities. Now, with that being said, I am going to go ahead and take a look at the big three that should allow us to be able to get through this quickly because typically, well, I said it in our last stream last night. There's really no moves to be able to make on most of these pairs. Uh, so here we go. United States dollar index. Very brief, very quick. Um, from a weekly perspective, market has hit a D extension. I'm not looking at being able to make a trade until the market actually ends up giving us a U-turn. Once that U-turn happens, then after that we can start consider being able to short this market. But at this particular point, market has hit a D extension. Market is bullish. There's really no movement to be able to take based off of that. Now there's a new Fibonacci D extension that's expected that could possibly be hit at 13,688 from a daily perspective. But once again, I am in the thought process of there's really no trade to be able to take that's safe at this particular point. Um, we're basically at all-time highs when it comes down to this movement, or close to all-time highs, if I believe so. Let me take a look at this from a weekly perspective. Um, yeah, we're done. We're pretty much at higher highs when it comes down to this overall position, and never look at being able to buy when you're at pretty much all-time highs. You look to be able to wait for the market to retrace, and then after that you get into a trade from there. So even though the 2 hours looking like it could have an opportunity to be able to drop, I'm not interested in being able to make a decision on that move as of yet. Okay, so United States dollar index, US based pairs, I'm not looking at or considering myself for being able to trade. Obviously, you can do what you want. Um, Oil, because there is a potential hurricane that is coming over to this overall area, and obviously we're still in the middle of hurricane season. We end up taking a trade down to 77.11, based off of a sale that we end up getting when the market broke at 82.50. Uh, from there, the market has settled and started to be able to make a move to the upside. Now, I think that oil is going to end up starting to go up overall, solely because of weather and solely because that the market, solely because it's starting to get cold. Uh, and because it is starting to get cold, obviously people will use oil to be able to heat up their homes. And obviously, if something ends up going awry when it comes down to this weather, that's going to end up being another thing that we have to be able to pay attention to. So with oil from a daily perspective, we can see that the market is in the buy zone. We see that the market is in this downward channel, and it ended up hitting a major support level, in which I believe at 77.11. Now, at this particular point, the question is what's going to end up happening with the movement. I think that overall we should see that the market could be able to break out of this overall small consolidation that's actually happening, and then from that small consolidation breaking to the upside, we can start to be able to see. Give me 1 second, everybody. Just want to make sure I do this. Go ahead and get that out the way. That's disappointing. That's very much disappointing. Um, we can see that the market is breaking to the upside on this overall consolidation, and I do expect that when it breaks out of this channel, it'll probably end up getting up to $95 a barrel. The reason why I say that is because there's a bearish king's crown that's actually moving to the downside. This is a reversal candlestick formation, but in order for it to reverse, it has to be able to push back up, at least to be able to build this right tip side compared to what they end up doing on the left side. So at this particular point, until this market breaks out of consolidation, there's really no trade to be able to take. But once it breaks out of 80, I will look at being able to trade it just like I end up doing when it ends up falling to the downside. I will look to be able to trade it back up to 83, and then from there, look at being able to trade it all the way up to that 95 area as we end up going through. I'm going to hurry up and get through gold, and then after that, I'm going to talk about why I just canceled pretty much the trades that we ended up taking last night, and we'll go from there. Once again, kind of disappointing because we was up 200 points on all three of them, but sometimes that happens. It happens. Let's see. Let's take a look at gold. There we go. Go here, take profit at 16.15. There it is. As soon as it popped, as soon as it ended up hitting that take profit, it ended up popping right back up to the upside. So end up taking a trade on Friday at 16.58 with the thought process that the market could go to 16.15. Gave a couple opportunities to fill all the way down to 16.30. Gave a counter trend line break that you could be able to get into. Then after that, we talked about the market basically reverting, giving us another chance. It went all the way up to 16.40. Once that ended up happening, and made a quick U-turn. Last time we ended up taking a look at it last night was at 16.25. After it ended up hitting 16.25, it ended up basically completing the extension at 16.15, and just like that, popped right back up to the upside. It was expected. Basically, we ended up running inside of a low volume node or vortex area, and then from there, basically end up completing that move. So gold, I wouldn't look at being able to do anything else either at this particular point. So done with that. Now let's go ahead and go and talk and be a little bit disappointed. All right, so let's talk about what ended up happening. Yesterday, we ended up talking about two potential trades that we could have got into, and I'm going to focus in on this side first. We ended up getting in on a trade at 29, I think it was 29,280 for the overall sale, and there was another one at 29,350 when it came down to selling. The take profit is at 28,520. From there, what ended up happening was that the market ended up having a big drop, and then after that started to push back up earlier today. There was another trade that I ended up suggesting when if the market was going to end up retracing back inside of this consolidation panel, that ended up going up to, I think it was 29,670. We ended up catching that trade as well as a pending order, with the thought process that if the market was going to end up pushing up to the upside, that we could be able to have a sale right here. I'm just going to write S. A sale right here, a sale right there, and if it broke out, we end up having a buy to the upside. The buy never triggered because it never got placed in, but the sale ended up rejecting because it ended up being the actual resistance of this overall area in this high volume node. From there, um, ended up taking a sale, got some points off of that while the market actually ended up moving, got spooked on this halfway movement, so got out of that trade, got placed into the sale right here. And when we talked about this yesterday, we ended up having another continuation trade when the market ended up breaking the counter trend line break right there. So our last sale that we ended up taking was at 29, 185. Market ended up falling to the downside, gave us a little bit of consolidation, kind of like what I expected. And my hope was that once it broke out of that consolidation, it was going to remain to be moving to the downside. As of legitimately 45 minutes ago, when I looked at it this morning, it fell all the way down to 28,888. And as soon as I got out of the shower to be able to talk to everybody and do everything else like that, legitimately pop went right back up to the upside. So uh, currently, right now, it's at the top of this overall resistance level. I end up canceling out on all of the trades. It's too much of an engulfing candlestick to be able to play around with, even if it's in a low volume node area. Um, we'll see and kind of react off of that movement a little bit later on. But that is up there. It is again. Sorry. Uh, that is kind of the point. Disappointing that this market didn't have any follow through based off of this movement. Uh, Legitimately, I ended up seeing that I was up about 200 points between this pair and a few other pairs on this movement. So uh, ultimately, let's readjust. Let's talk about what we can be able to do. So we had a breakout to the downside. Obviously, we end up seeing that the market kind of had a little bit of a support right here, right around 28,900. The resistance was the overall area where the market ended up having that continuation trade. Currently, right now, that's at 29,220. Um, if you take a look back and just zoom out, there's really not a high volume node. It's really not even a medium volume node. I don't. It just means that right now I think that the market is tired of going down and people are just ready to buy at this particular point. But I'm going to see how this market kind of reacts. I'm not going to look at selling this yet because that's too much of a force to be able to push up to the upside. That just means that if we look at being able to take this trade again, we just ran out of space or we just run into more we lose potential space on being able to get in. Uh, the order now would end up having to be when this market breaks out of this low at 29,900, and then after that, trying to go up to 28.5. If it does remain to be able to sell. If you wanted to be able to sell at the top of the move, obviously you could place your stop loss just above the overall swing high of that move. But currently, right now, I don't know if I want to be able to do that based off of what ended up happening. I don't know what happened. I seriously don't know what happened. I know that we're above the VWAP now. I know that we end up having a strong 200-point move to the upside. See what CNBC says, because to me it seemed like there was a random move. Yeah, I don't see anything yet. I didn't see anything on Bloomberg either when I took a look at it. Um, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing. If you're still in the trade, I mean, obviously you're not down. It just means that you're basically at break even. Uh, but it would have been nice to be able to see that we was actually up and staying up on this movement. And with that engulfing candlestick, I want to see how the market kind of reacts off of the 7 o'clock candles and everything else before truly making a decision. We're back inside of another consolidation now. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I would like to see how this market reacts before being able to make another decision. All right, so made money yesterday and basically broke even today. So, or at least potentially right now at this particular point. Was kind of hoping to be able to see that this market would have got a little bit further down, kind of like what ended up happening with gold at this particular point. So nothing to be able to do right now off the US 30. If you end up taking profit about 30 minutes ago, then you would have been in a great spot in being able to make a move. Nas 100. That's funny. Hold on? Did I get out of Nas 100? Did it put me in a profit on Nas 100? Nope. That's funny. That is hilarious. Okay, so let's talk about it. Nas 100. Ended up taking a short on Nas 100. At first, the thought process was that I was trying to go after 11,100. Um, but in further taking a look at it, I ended up taking a look at the daily, and I seen that we had a natural support that was not hit, going all the way back and using some of the previous history from these areas right here once it loads up. Market ended up hitting 10,980, and it basically ended up hitting those overall areas. So I was like, okay, well, we have a good chance of being able to get in off of those movements. Oh, there it is. Um, we can see that there was natural support and where the market actually ended up moving, but the body of those candlesticks ended up being at 11,100. So what ended up happening was that when we took that sale, um, earlier today or earlier yesterday, my thought process yesterday was that the market um, could go to 11,100, but I felt like, man, that's too low. I mean, I felt like there was really, it could go a little bit lower. Um, Legitimately hit 11,100, bounce right back up. It's basically back at basically back at the original trade. What's going on, Peter? What's going on, Fatty? Hope everything's going well with y'all. Answer both of y'all questions in a quick second. Um, Market ended up Market has pushed right back up to the upside on this one. But legitimately, if I would have just kept my take profit at that particular point instead of moving it down, would have got triggered out. So that one's a little funny. But ultimately, right now, there's nothing to be able to do at this particular point. I want to see how these markets. Once again, I want to see how these markets kind of move. This one is reacting to the downside, but I think it's too much. I think there's so much energy that could possibly be able to go up. What's up, bro? Pound yen punishing bad with that 200-point spike up. Now it's back to entry. Every one of them, legitimately. Um, uh, US 30, US 30 DAX, Nas, and XBX 500. I woke up to seeing that I was up 200 points, and legitimately heard a beep, and I was like, "That's not good," and ran straight downstairs to see that all of them were at break even. I don't know what happened, uh, but it happens. I don't know what happened on that one. Now, currently, right now, if you were still in the trade, it would still be at break even, but well, it'd be in profit now. But I think this is just a retest of a move. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But like I said, yeah, that's kind of disappointing. Um, uh, yeah, yeah. Sometimes just get you with the sneak attack. Godly. Um, so same deal. XPX 500 caught it on the crossover when the market ended up getting up to when the market actually ended up falling down. I think we ended up getting in 36, 36, I believe. Market fell down to 3603. As soon as it ended up hitting 3603, it ended up popping right back up to the upside. Right now, if you look at this overall movement, there's really no clear indication about what's going to end up happening. So, for trades that I'm saying, hey, I'm going to give out today at 6:30, there's really nothing to be able to say to be able to actually give you a great move. Uh, Obviously, the Bulls are kind of ready to be able to start seeing that the market's ready to push back up. I don't know why at this particular point the market is still considered to be bearish, and I think there's still some more movements to the downside. But uh, that was a strong candlestick. That was a strong candlestick movement, especially after the market showed consolidation and then broke to the downside. Uh, so I'm going to let this one kind of develop a little bit more before being able to make a decision on anything. But I do want to look at pound yen. Let's look and see what happens with that misery needs company sometimes. Let's see. Oh no. Okay, I see. I see what you're saying. Oh, that sucks. Let's see. 15 minute. Hold on. Wasn't that news that came out? Um, no, there was no news that came out. Oh, monetary policy meeting minutes. But no, that was at 7. That was at 7:50 p.m. There was a speech by Cunliffe, but that typically doesn't move the market. Yeah, it's just a spike. Right? Okay, that's the ones that I hate more than anything else. Eh, If we're gonna end up having a movement like that, you're gonna do all this work to be able to get yourself into the best trade possible, and then you just get a random move of people just buying it up to the upside for whatever may be the reason. It's like doesn't make any sense of why it ended up happening. Um, we're a few points away from the entry. We end up getting in at, I think, for German 40, we end up getting in at 12,074. It's at 12,056. I can see that the sellers are starting to be able to push the market a little bit, especially on DAX. DAX has a bigger drop that could go all the way down to 11,400. But once again, let's see what's happening off the hour. Stop hunts. Yeah, maybe. But my stop was in a very good spot. Yeah, my stop loss was in a very good spot. So, what y'all think? This market makers looking at some of these positions and saying, "Hey, we got to get rid of some of these people before this market ultimately falls down again." I'll give you one even worse. I got okay. I know I got one. Um, what was it? Um, not German 40. US 30 last week when the news came out about um, there it is right there. Jerome Powell, FOMC meeting minutes, got into the trade up here when the market ended up falling to the downside. Immediately when the market ended up, when the news came out, it spiked 500 points in 3 minutes. Uh, end up taking profit off of the position of the support. But obviously, we're looking at this market move like this. I was hoping that the market was going to fall down to 30,000. I think it was like 30,180 or something like that. As soon as that ended up happening, we end up having a full 100% retracement, and then after that, it fell down those 1,600 points that we were looking at to the downside, like legitimately. This fell and this did that. So, let's see. Yeah, also on the sale from yesterday, stop came all the way to that level. I think too many people were in profit. Yeah, more than likely. Hey, I'm not paying all of y'all. I'm only gonna pay the people that got out early. uh, it's funny when you can talk about that just from a trading perspective and not. I didn't get killed. It was basically a break even trade. But if you end up going all in on a move like that, that hurts. That really would hurt. Let's take a look at US yen real quick, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. We'll see what's happening a little bit later on, but I don't uh, envision I don't envision taking any trades based off of that movement, unfortunately. So going back to what I ended up saying with the United States dollar index. Yeah, Brian, did you get out? Did you get out early? Did somebody make money off of this move? That move that we ended up talking about last night? Cause legitimately, probably about an hour at this point, an hour ago, I was up 200 points on all of those, and 200 points in my account is a pretty significant number. Uh, okay, so just like with United States dollar index, I made some money and I walked away with money. There we go. Good. I think most of the money that I made was the one from yesterday. And then after that, legitimately, I heard the beat ran downstairs, made some on US 30, had to cancel out on Nas, and had to uh, end up making a very little bit on DAX. So from a weekly perspective, market ended up hitting 142. The D extension has been hit once again with US yen, with gold. Well, gold is starting to pick back up, so we should see that the market will start to possibly revert. Uh, but because the weekly D extension has hit, Peter, I would not look at taking any trades. At least for me, I wouldn't look at taking any trades for the next 2 to 3 weeks. The reason why is because that we got to be able to get a fractal high to be able to work off of. So now we can be able to build out a new Fibonacci to be able to even think about being able to make a trade. Currently, right now, we're getting almost to the highest point where the market actually was one time previously at 12,000. I mean, at what was the high? 147. We're basically getting towards those highs. And at this point, uh, I think that you have diminishing returns if you just look and say, okay, I want to look at being able to buy. Now, I would look at being able to sell, but I want to sell with confirmation. And the only confirmation that I would end up getting would be based off of a counter trend line break. Uh, I'm not going to guess off of this one. I want everybody else to go ahead and prove it for me, and then after that, once they prove it, then after that, I get into it. Now that leads me into what's going to end up happening based off of October to November trades, because we're getting close to Q4, which means that this is where most people end up making their money throughout the overall year. The reason why I bring that up is because let me see. Hold on. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? 15 minutes. I want to keep my eye out on that one. I want to get y'all opinion real quick. DAX is basically at break. It's basically at the starting point. US 30 is basically at the starting point of where we end up getting those trades. Would you consider taking that trade? I know we're a little bit inside of the consolidation area, but would you consider taking that trade? Just give me a yes or a no. If we look at it from an hourly standpoint, it's an engulfing candlestick. So that means that the next candlestick will have to be tested, but we can see that we see that it's starting to reject a little bit. Would like y'all opinion on that one. Okay. Brian said no. Um, let's see. I'm still gonna say no, even though that kind of makes me mad. But either way, whatever. The only one that I'll possibly consider would probably be DAX. Yeah, the only one that I'll possibly consider would be DAX based off of where it is. It has too big of a point that if it could fall back down to. I mean, if it does reject hard, it could fall right back down to it. My only thing is it going to fall down to the VWAP and then pop right back up to the upside, turning past resistance into a future support and then pushing back up. Look like it could come down on the 15 or 30 minute. The only one that I would consider at this particular point would probably end up being DAX. It has a larger drop compared to every other one. Need more confirmation at this point. I agree, but it's basically back at, let's say if you, I wouldn't even consider that consolidation. So it's really no way that I can consider that consolidation. I consider that a hard rejection, and this is a retest of that movement. Yeah, yeah, and stay away from it. If this market breaks below the VWAP, then I start to consider it. That blue line. Okay. Uh, US yen, I'll wait for the counter trend line break to be able to consider being able to get in, but that consideration would be going to the downside based off of that movement, which means that gold will have to start going up, which means that United States dollar will have to start seeing a little bit of bad news when it comes down to movement and kind of go from there. But ultimately, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to mess up this month's trading just by being able to take a look at what happened off of one day or based off of one 200 point spike. We done had a very good month overall, so there's no reason to sit up there and try to chase something at the end of the month when we'd have done so well on profit and off of that. Okay. Uh, Currently, right now, even on DAX, we're up 17% this month. I'm not interested in being able to. I don't want to sit up there and mess up something if it's not going to end up being there. Okay, so I go ahead and stop right here. So if you like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button. We're gonna end up having another class session tonight at 9 p.m. We'll see how the market kind of reacts. Hopefully it doesn't just sit up there and fall down to the floor and we didn't get into the trade again. Uh, but we'll see how the market kind of reacts, and then after that, make a movement from there. You like what I end up doing? Please make sure that you end up helping me out with every other brand that I have. The red brand, make sure you end up helping out on the blue brand as well. Red brand is YouTube, blue brand is Twitter. Uh, we have a Discord that is literally uh, about 95% of the way of being built and everything else like that. I will give everyone more information on that as soon as it's done, and being able to build out everything when it comes down to that. But I do appreciate everybody's time. I wish I could have came here with a lot of great news and everybody being up about 300 to 400 points as we end up taking that trade last night. But if you really think about it, if you took that trade when the market was up here at the resistance on some of these pairs, you'll be dang on whistling Dixie at this particular point. So uh, we'll see how everything kind of goes from there. Like always, plan your trade, trade your plan. I'll see each and every one of y'all a little bit later on today. Take it easy.